Well, hello, writers. Welcome to episode number 138 of How Do You Write? I'm Rachael Herron. Super stoked that you're here with me today. Thank you for your patience while I disappeared off the map for a couple of weeks. Last week, you got one that was preloaded, but the week or two before that, I was traveling. I went to New York. After I went to New York, I got sick. And when I get sick, I could have a migraine that'll take down a rhinoceros and I will still do everything that I need to do. But if I get a cold, no, 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 no. I am such a baby. I want to lie in bed and I want to cough weekly and I want somebody to bring me hot tea. Although, you know what, my wife works, so I end up getting up and getting my own damn hot tea, and that's fine because I'm just a baby. But that cold moved and lingered and stayed around for about a week. And so this is the first update you've had from me in a while. And I want to tell you a story about New York Thriller Fest. I've got to tell you, you guys, it was so great. It was so great for so many reasons. Top being that I got to spend so much time with my Sophie Littlefield. She is another thriller writer, although she writes all the genres. She's wonderful. We're besties here in the Bay Area. We see each other all the time, talk all the time, but it's always special to travel with somebody. And we had never been to New York together, which we didn't really realize. I think we had been a long time ago before we were very close. Like, we shared space, but it wasn't this kind of space. So that was awesome. Number two was being with my other bestie, Jay Thorne, from my podcast that I co-host with him, The Writer's Well. If you've never listened to that, it's a pretty cool show. We talk about living the writer's life. And that is one of the rare shows I think it's good to start at the beginning and work your way up, because we really worked. We recorded as Jay was getting ready to make the leap to full-time just after I had made the leap to full-time. So 3-ish years ago. And the podcast episodes are short, like this one. And we got to hang out together and be in the hotel room together and just, shoot the crap and talk business. And and Jay schmoozed the way he does. He knows everybody. We did go to one of the cocktail parties. We were both incredibly awkward. I think we really, because we could cling to each other, we didn't have to schmooze. We just stood in a corner and looked at everybody until the noise level made us bolt. As introverts. But he did a real good job schmoozing there. Good job, Jay. But then another huge reason that I loved being there was that I have been to a lot of conferences. They always have left me feeling quite small, and I can admit that to you. I am a very small fish. I've been a very small fish in an enormous pond for many, many, many years. That's the way it goes. That's the way it honestly still is. However, a couple things about that. I don't mind being a small fish in a large pond. I just like swimming. And number two, the only reason it was a little bit different this year is that I am in a new genre with a new publisher. And it's just about to come out in just a few weeks. So I was kind of the gal around town. So when I went to the Penguin publishing party, I went to the address, and it was very strange because it was just a door on a busy street in Manhattan. It was a glass door. It had the right numbers on it. I opened the door and a woman took me up in an elevator, and she used the key to unlock the elevator doors, which opened into Barbara Peters' pied-à-terre, her family's pied-à-terre apartment in New York. That's where we were. So we're in this fabulous Manhattan apartment that the elevator opens into, wall of glass windows looking out, the room full of industry professionals, stars of the thriller world. And I swear to you, 10 or more, I can count 10, I think it might have been more because I was so overwhelmed. People came up to me, like rushed up to me and said, "Are you Rachael Herron? Oh my God, I loved your book. Oh my gosh, that was such a great book," because they were all Dutton people. They worked within the imprint at Penguin, and Dutton is a small imprint, and everybody who works at Dutton works on all the books. They've all read all the books. So they made me feel like a rock star, which, has never happened before. And it was really beautiful. And I do not mind admitting to you that it felt great. And I was dressed up pretty and my hair looked good. And I had left having coffee with my other best friend, Carrie Luna, who lives in Portland, that I never get to see. We happened to be in New York at the same time, so I had coffee with her, which was heart filling. Went directly from there, wearing my finest Fluvogs, to the publisher party. Went right from there to a dinner with my agent at this incredible Korean place just around the corner. And the next, it was just magical. It was like the dream. And I hope you don't mind me talking about the dream because it feels so freaking good to live in it. And if you have a similar dream, it's nice to know. Look, I was a slush pile baby. I knew no one in publishing. I came out of a slush pile. You can too. Walking around New York in my Fluvogs, man. The Fluvogs that Shoes bought me, because that used to be my reward to myself whenever I would make a sale of a book to a publisher. I'd buy myself a pair of Fluvogs. Sometimes now they're fries. Recently it was Sandgren, but it's still Shoes. So the next morning I go out with my team, put it in air quotes, my publisher, my publicist, and my marketer, and they are divine. They're wonderful. I've never worked with a team so strong in publishing. I just love them. They made me feel like $100 million bajillion dollars at breakfast. And we talked business, and we talked shop, and we talked TV. And then I get in the cab. I go into the Penguin offices. I see my book on my publisher's desk, the advanced reader's copy. And then I leave. I get in the cab. I'm halfway across town going back to the hotel. And I get a text from my marketer. And she says, "Can you come back?" And she said, "We have something for you." And I had the most New York moment where I literally said something like, "Cabby, turn this car around." And in reality, what I probably said was like, I'm sorry, can we go back? And do you know where you picked me up? Can you drop me off in the same place? Because I didn't know where I'd gotten picked up from. But he did, and he took me back. And then if you're watching on the video, Jamie handed me through the window the hardcover, finished copy of Stolen Things. If you're watching on the video, look at the shine on this thing. It's got a front flap and a back flap. And I looked super tough. I looked super tough in my thriller picture that my goddaughter Tani took. It's an amazing picture. I am so not tough. Literally, this is one of the takes that she took. The first one, I'm laughing my ass off. And then I look very mean. And then the third one, I'm laughing my ass off. But I got a couple of like thriller shots in there. So that's on there. Her name is in the book because she took the picture. It's so wonderful. And it was the first book. The box of finished books had just landed. It comes into the publicist's area first. They get them first. So Jamie had gotten it first, had opened the box, realized what it was, texted me, and I got the very first copy in my hot little hand. All of those things together made for one of the best New York publishing experiences I have ever had. I think I can live on this high for years and years and years to come because it was the dream coming true. And also, you guys, I went to Mood with Sophie, the fabric store, and I got to hug and kiss Swatch, and he did French me, which was disgusting. He has some of the worst breath of any dog I have ever smelled in my entire life. It smelled like rotten turkey. But it's Swatch, the dog from Mood. I got to kiss Swatch, and I have some pictures, and it was just the best New York trip. It was wonderful. I had an egg and bacon bagel from our egg and bacon breakfast sandwich from a bodega. Like, it was sublime. It was sublime. And if you haven't read, what is it called? It's by Carolyn C. And I think it's called Make a Literary Life or Making a Literary Life. Again, Carolyn SEEC. Grab that book because I read that 20 years ago. And she says, start saving to go to New York. Because if you continue writing and if you continue this dream, you will eventually get published if you write 1,000 words a day. That was her prescription. And start saving a little bit of money here and there to go to New York because someday you will and you'll need it. And then I remember when I read that the first time 20 years ago, I thought, no, I can't dream that big. But I did dream that big, and I'm just so lucky. So I hope this is not completely obnoxious, this whole introduction, but I wanted to share that joy with you. Speaking of joy, oh my gosh. This is just a joyful episode. Today, I am talking to Hannah Shaw, who is a publishing sister of mine. Her editor is the same as my editor, and that's how I found her. She wrote a book called Tiny But Mighty about kitten rescue. She is so delightful. So I hope you are watching this on the video, because not only will you get to see the hardcover copy of Stolen Things, which really, who cares, you're going to get to see Kittens in a minute. So basically, stop driving your car and pull this up on your computer. I guarantee that you will not be disappointed. Also, she's beautiful, so yeah, you should definitely watch on camera. Enjoy the interview. I'm not going to take any longer with this introduction. It's longer than I normally do, and I wish you all very, very happy writing. If you listen to the end, there's a chance to win Hannah's book. So listen to the end, figure out how to do that, and it involves talking to me and her on Instagram. So it's pretty easy and very fun. And as always, happy writing to you. Tell me how your writing goes. Hit me anywhere that I am on the socials. And thank you for listening. All right. Well, I could not be more pleased to welcome to the show today, Hannah Shaw. Hello, Hannah.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So glad that you are. Let me get you a little introduction here. Hannah Shaw is an award-winning kitten rescuer, humane educator, and unwavering animal advocate who has dedicated her life to protecting the tiniest and most vulnerable felines. Her project, Kitten Lady, provides educational media, training resources, and instructional workshops that help individuals and animal shelters learn how to save the lives of kittens in a fun and engaging format. Hannah is the author of Tiny But Mighty from Penguin Random House and the forthcoming children's book, Kitten Lady's Big Book of Little Kittens. You can find her at kittenlady.org. And Hannah, where I found you was, those covers are so gorgeous. People, this might be one that if you only listen on audio, you may want to switch to the Facebook or the How Do You Write YouTube feed, because she's got kittens behind her. I could see them running around.
One in the litter box right now. So.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing. That's what cats do. I found you because I don't know if you know, but we share an editor. Stephanie is my editor for the thriller that comes out next month. And we were having lunch one day, and she said, I'm also editing this other wonderful book. And I immediately followed you on Instagram, and I have not been able to stop staring into your life ever since. And it is, so you should follow her at Kitten Next Lady. I am completely obsessed. Today, though, let's talk a little bit about your writing process. I like to get writers of everything on this show, and this is nonfiction, specifically about what you are most passionate about. But you are an incredibly busy person, so I would love to know what your writing process looked like through all of this. Like, when do you write? Where?
Yeah, I mean, I was really excited to come on this show because I was like, this is not a question I've ever been asked. So I have to really think about, like, how did I do this? Well, I think that I spend a huge portion of my time doing content creation. So I am, making YouTube videos. I'm doing educational workshops. I'm doing writing on my website. So when I put together my book proposal, I sort of already knew, like, front to end what this really needs to look like, because I already do, I do these day-long seminars that I teach that are like a full day of classes about what I teach, which is kitten welfare. So I kind of started by taking what I already have and what I already teach, and then just like creating my outline of, okay, what would this actually look like parsed out, and then to make it digestible for me, because I am, I have a lot going on. I kind of made it into little sections. So what you see if you go through the book is there's all these little sections, like sections within sections within sections. And so maybe I'll have a section on, like, I have an entire chapter on what to expect when you're expecting kittens. And that's all, like, it's what it sounds like. It's
That's
like,
so cute.
Like, what are the developmental milestones? What's normal behavior? When do different things happen? Like, when do their eyes open? When do their ears, their ear canals open? Why are their eyes blue? Like, all of these different things. And so I just took it into, like, digestible portions. And then when I have time, I sit down and I just write a section. So when I was writing, I would say, okay, today I'm just going to write about ocular development, and that's it. Or I'm just going to write small fry's story. And I have all these kitten stories throughout the book. So I think doing it that way, you know, kind of piece by piece was helpful for me because I think I do my best writing when I'm feeling really passionate about something. So if I was literally in the middle of caring for a dehydrated kitten, I'd be like, I'm going to write about dehydration today because right now I feel extra passionate about making sure people understand this, and it's more important to me because I'm going through it, you know?
What a great idea, though.
Yeah, write that section, and then maybe I'm like, oh, I'm not thinking about constipation because I'm not dealing with a constipated kitten, but then the next kitten you get is constipated, and I'm like, oh, I need to write about this, you know? So everything has like a place, but I didn't write it like front to back, really.
So what is the most difficult part to you about writing? What's the most challenging bit?
Brevity.
Really? So you
I
are a long writer.
I have too much to say. They told me to write 75,000 words, and I think I ended up at like 120,000 words. Because I couldn't stop. And I was like, well, what do I do if I have more to say? And they said, it's always easier to take away than to add. So just keep writing until you don't have anything else to say. And I was like, okay. And then I ended up with a really big book.
That is hilarious because like my long novels are 100,000 words. Like that is so much more. And but what I appreciate about your writing though, like when I'm reading you on Instagram, which is where I consume your media most, your posts are long and they're thought out and they're considered. And so I have two questions jumping off of this, but what is your biggest joy when it comes to writing then?
Oh gosh, when it comes to writing, well, I think I love the instructional piece, but the storytelling piece is really fun for me because I've lived all of this through my own eyes, but other people, you know, they only get to see these small glimpses. So getting to really tell, like beginning to end, the story of some of the kittens that I've cared for was really, really fun. And some of them, I read them and I just sob. Like sometimes I read the stories from my own book and I just cry because I'm like, oh, what an amazing journey that kitten had. And, you know, and it's beautiful to have it written out somewhere that I can now see it and people can see the photos and read the stories. And I think that was the biggest joy for me, was getting to really document some of these little lives that I've saved and have them be their own teachers in the book, because every kitten story is scattered throughout the book in sections that are teaching the things that story is teaching, you know? So, you know, I have a section about viral diseases in kittens, and then I have Hank's story, who is a kitten that survived the panleukopenia virus. So it's like you're reading these stories, but then you're learning how to do the care at the same time.
That is so cool.
So it's cool because I consider my little kittens to be like the best teachers in the world. Here's Peppermint.
Peppermint, I've been watching you online.
Peppermint. Well, so these guys are great teachers because, you know, every single kitten you get, you learn something through them. So I guess that was the natural way for me to write this book, was to have the outline of what I want people to know, but also scattered throughout are the stories of the kittens that can teach us not just how to do this care, but also the why. Like, why does this matter? Because it matters to Peppermint. That's why it matters, you know?
And the best thing is that you know, that was a great way for you to teach, but it's also just such an ideal way to learn. Like I might remember something about viral diseases, but I will remember Hank's story, right?
Sure.
That's how it sticks in our brains. So when you were developing this book proposal, and this is something I just don't know the answer to. I've not seen this on your Instagram or anywhere. But some people who write nonfiction about the things that they're passionate about write it because they're passionate about it. And other people do the same thing, but they've also always wanted to be a writer. Where did you fall in that camp?
I have always wanted to write this book because you can't say everything that you want to say in like those long Instagram captions you see. I will use every character you're allowed. And sometimes I'm like a few characters over and I have to go back and be like, how could I have said this? How could I change this sentence so that I can finish my thought at the end, because there's not enough room to say everything I want to say. So all of that is to say, you know, an 8-minute YouTube video or a 3-paragraph Instagram caption, or even a 12-page booklet or a 2-hour seminar is not enough time to share everything that I have to share about the importance of this work and also how to do it well. So I've always wanted to write this book.
I love that.
I have a lot of books in me. Like I loved doing this, and I didn't know anything about the literary world before doing this book. I always wanted to write this book, and then while I was writing this book, the children's publisher approached me about doing a children's book, and I was like, "Are you kidding? That sounds so fun! I would love to do that." And what I've found is that I love it. Like I love the writing process so much. I loved seeing this go from an idea to kind of like a loose form into suddenly it started to be like a puzzle that you could just see small holes in, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I did it, and it's this beautiful thing that now can be like born into the world, and it exists and it's tangible, and how cool is that? I mean, yeah, I have a lot of different books that I would like to write in the future, all about animal welfare, but yeah, I haven't aspired to be like, I want to be an author. You know, I'm an educator. Like I want to do education is the greatest thing for me. So whether that is through storytelling or through, you know, information or both, that's what's most important to me. And I can say, you know, when I was pitching this book, when I was pitching Tiny But Mighty, I talked to a lot of different publishers, and some of them wanted it to be way more storytelling and way less instructional. Like they just wanted like a cute gift book. And then there were other publishers that wanted like only instruction with no story. And that was how I ended up with Stephanie and with Penguin, because they really believed in the vision that I had, which kind of I've been able to like beta test through social media and YouTube.
Yes.
The way people like to learn is through stories and information, you know. So I'm really grateful that they believed in the way that I saw this coming together. And it is a different format, because it's like, is it a textbook? Kind of. Is it a like autobiography? Kind of. Is it a is it a picture book? Kind of. It's all of those things.
How did it feel to hold it in your hands the first time when you got the advanced reader's copy?
I cried. I only have had it for a week. I just got it last week. Yeah.
I saw it on Stephanie's desk last week. I was in New York visiting her.
I'm still looking at it and going like, oh my God, it's crazy. Yeah, no, it makes me like so happy, because I've seen it obviously digitally. I've read it front to back so many times through the editing process. But the first thing I wanted to do when I got it is read it in hardcover format, because it's different than reading it on on your document on your computer. Like it feels more like I can picture somebody else reading it when I read this, you know.
Okay, so 2 things. You guys, you must switch over to the video, because Peppermint and his brother are just like playing like great. They've been just showing off this whole time. It's wonderful. And I know, look at them. This is what they've been doing. How did writing this particular book change you as a person?
Oh, wow. Well, I feel like in so many ways. One thing is that I feel truly that I'm having an impact now in a way that I didn't before, because, you know, an Instagram post, like how much of a difference can you really make with an Instagram post? You see it and it goes away.
Right.
Even a YouTube video, you see it and then it kind of fades into insignificance, right? But like, this is something I hope will be on shelves for a long time. It makes me feel like, you know, the time that I put into this resource is more valuable than the time I've put into other things. It feels almost like surreal to me, because I have other friends who are authors, and you know, my partner Andrew, he has 2 books out, both about cats. He's a photographer.
I am a cat photographer. Yes.
And so I've seen him go through this twice. And it's like magic, seeing something go from an idea to actually being like a product on a shelf. So I think it has, how has it changed me? I mean, it's made me feel like anything's possible, I guess, because I never thought that this would be possible for me to do. And now I'm like, what else can I do? Wow, I can make a book. What else can I do?
That's awesome. I love that answer. Can you just tell us about what you do? Like now we know about Tiny but Mighty, but I want to know what you do in your all day, every day. Why is your house filled with tiny, precious baby kittens?
Yeah, so obviously a huge chunk of what I do is education about kitten care, but when I'm at home, I do have a kitten nursery in my home, and we have 2 kitten rooms, and one of them is the socialization room, which I'm in right now. This is where our big kids live, and by big, I mean like 1 pound to 2 pounds. These are where this is a room where there's, you can't see, but behind here there's climbing structures and lots of little nooks and scratch posts and things for them to interact with. This is a very like enrichment filled room. And then the other room is a neonate room. So it's more like incubators and spaces for newborn kittens who are just, having their bottle feeding and mostly sleeping throughout the day. So I am a major advocate for fostering and work with kittens who are 0 to 8 weeks old because they are the most vulnerable in animal shelters, which a lot of people don't realize. These kittens, they do not literally stand a chance at life without foster homes. And so I foster them in my home, and then I teach other people how to do the same through videos, written information, now my book.
Now your book.
Yeah, and lots of traveling and workshops. So
You also you have a real talent at telling the honest, hard truth as well. Like you deal with it when the neonate kittens die, and you talk about what that feels like and how much it sucks and how this went wrong and how it shouldn't go wrong next time. And I am assuming you brought that into the book with you too, those hard questions, right?
Yeah, so I have a whole section in the book that's all about kind of like personal development as a rescuer, which is both the positive and the challenging parts of that. So I talk about, the positive parts of like we need to have like good self-care, good boundaries, good social support, stuff like that. But then I also in that chapter talk about dealing with grief, dealing with loss, dealing with compassion fatigue and burnout, and kind of how we can be resilient as people who are doing really challenging work. Because the truth is, if you're even thinking about picking up this book, you're already guaranteed to be a very compassionate person. And if you're fostering, then you definitely are a person who's not just compassionate, but you put your compassion into action. And that is awesome. But it also means the people who are exposed to potentially very tragic things, we're the ones that have soft hearts. So how do we do that without burning out? How do we do that and still be able to be sustainable in what we're doing? And I want people to be able to do this for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, because you get a little bit more skills every single time, and there's always more kittens waiting to be saved. So self-care is a really, really big part of this too.
I love that.
My best to show all of this because I want this to be a movement that's not just like fiery and passionate, but also cool and calm and like sustainable. I want people to do this work well for the animals and for themselves.
My goddaughter Tani co-runs a dog rescue in San Diego, actually, and I didn't know how much of the emotional was carried in what you all do. I mean, and up to and including dealing with volunteers and dealing with fosters. And your face was really good. I have a lot to say, and I'm not going to say it. Yeah. Yeah. So what you do is so important and so compelling. I cannot wait to get this book. And we have a special thing that I don't usually do on this show. But I'd already pre-ordered a copy of your book, and your publicist offered me a copy. So that copy that I'm not going to take, I would like people to go to your Instagram, Kittenx Lady, and I want them to @ me, @ Rachael Herron, first follow Kittenx Lady, and then @ me and tell me a kitten story of some sort. Just be one sentence about your favorite kitten. And then you'll be entered into the drawing to receive your book, Tiny But Mighty, and then your publicist will mail out. You won't have to do anything. So, yay! So please do that, listeners. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thanks so much for being on the show, Hannah. It has been my privilege, and I will keep watching your excellent work, and congratulations on the book.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Take care.
Great chatting with you.
You too. Bye.